Hi again, guys. So I wanted to talk about linking words a little bit because I know that's something a lot of people want some help with. I also feel like linking words are just so good at allowing your argument to flow, and that's a really big part of the marking criteria for the writing exam. So, you'll have a task response, task achievement, that's part of the marking criteria, and your linking words and how well your argument flows is all going to be part of that. And so to begin, now, one specific type of linking words you can use is linking words which help reinforce your point. So these are words such as furthermore, moreover, additionally, in relation to this, we must also consider, similarly, to substantiate this viewpoint. So there are some more basic ones here. There are, furthermore, moreover, additionally. But then we can also say to substantiate this viewpoint, and we can get a little bit creative with our use of linking words. And these will just essentially allow us to have a nice, flowing, structured argument. And we can relate all our points together. And our examiner will clearly be able to see which of our points contribute towards a certain point over the other. And so if we're backing up our point, we can keep saying furthermore, moreover, just keep backing our points up with more facts. So on to the next point. By the way, just to mention, if you have any questions, put them in the chat. If you want to kind of use some of your linking phrases in a sentence, I can comment on whether you've done it successfully or not. So you can also counter your point with linking words. And so, you've had your kind of pro argument. You're going to want to say your cons. So if you're saying all the bad things about video games, you can give lots of evidence for your point. Furthermore, it's another reason why. And then you can argue against your point. So you can counter your point. So you can say conversely, alternatively, on the other hand. Now, guys, these are not hard phrases to remember. You just try to remember a few of them, and then every time you're structuring an argument, or you're writing an essay, you can just drop them in at the start of your paragraphs, and it's going to just be an easy way for you to pick up marks. Like if you didn't use these linking phrases, your argument just wouldn't flow as well. And they're so, you just have to just put them in with a comma, and then you can just keep writing your sentence. So you just need to make sure you know them, and then you can just drop them in at the start of your paragraphs, and your points will kind of flow more nicely together. And so here's like an example of a paragraph I wrote, and I'll read it out. So there appears to be a general consensus that family life has grown increasingly distant. As our society changes, elements of our lives inevitably seem to change with it. However, I argue that if we are suitably vigilant, we can combat this effect and instead promote healthy familial relations. So here I've used the kind of counter linking word, however. So I've kind of given a point, and then I've said, however, this is some more information relating to something different. So, it's clear that I've got a structure to this. There's a clear reason for saying this, because I've used the word however. I've shown that there's a reason for me saying this. If I simply said, I argue that if we're suitably vigilant, you might think that that's based off what I've just said. You wouldn't understand that it's actually something a bit different. So using however just reinforces my overall sense of argument. And yeah, that's a big part of the marking criteria. Your coherence, your clarity, how well your argument flows together. You can use linking words. All you have to do, write it in, comma, done. That's all you have to do. And then it just kind of creates more of a sense of flow to your argument. So the peel technique, now this is definitely related to linking words, because linking words help you structure an argument. And the peel technique, which is PEEL, so point, evidence, explain, and link, it's just a kind of structure of helping you write a paragraph. So first of all, you could begin with your point. You notice here I've used a linking word. I said conversely. So my point is, this was a question about whether sporting events give way to safe patriotism, I think it was. So if they're kind of a good venue for being passionate about your country, good kind of avenue for that. So conversely, it would be remiss to exclude the various instances of fan hooliganism. So you can see this is my point. I've then given some evidence for my point. So, what's some evidence that backs up why my point is true? So I've given, some specific examples. Sean Cox, this was a fan who got attacked. So it's kind of relating to my point and kind of backing it up, really. I've then explained the point in a bit more detail. I've said this guy was unfortunately left disfigured following the incident. It's a true story of a Liverpool fan, basically. So it kind of is a point backed up with evidence. I've explained the point, and I've said why I've wanted to mention it. Now, you can do this in one sentence, 2 sentences, 3 sentences, or you can just link it all together. So you see here, I've said my explain, and I've linked my linking part is kind of part of the same sentence. So I've said showing that we must question the notion of whether major sporting events truly give way to a safe patriotism. So now, as I've said, this question was about whether sporting events are, good in terms of do they let us celebrate our country in safe ways. So you can see I've given a point about why this might not be the case. And then at the end of this, I've point, evidence, explain. And then at the end of this, I'm going to link it back to the question. And that's crucially important because you're always going to want to be linking back to your question, answering the question, because that's what the question is. It's asking you for an answer for your own response. And so if you can do this and link back, then you'll really score highly in terms of task response and task achievement. And so to move forwards with this, you can also talk about phrasal verbs. So linking words are very important. Phrasal verbs are another very high level skill. So phrasal verbs, I think, they're typically kind of band 7 plus, band 8, band 9. If you achieve band 9, you're definitely going to be using a lot of phrasal verbs because these really just allow you to show off your language in kind of fairly unique ways. So a phrasal verb is essentially an idiomatic phrase consisting of a verb and another element. So that other element can be a preposition or an adverb. So if we see here the phrase break down, we have the verb to break and then the adverb down, the preposition, down. And this basically is quite an informal, kind of metaphorical, idiomatic expression. And it shows that you have kind of a strong grasp of English if you can use these slightly weirder, more unique expressions. So C2, you've got the preposition to there. And really using these will show the examiner that you really know your stuff and you're able to really experiment with language. So one example of a phrasal verb is account for. And, it's slightly metaphorical. So an example sentence is mental health issues typically account for substance abuse. Kind of a dark topic for my example there, but it just kind of came to mind. But, account for. So account for basically means, mental health issues are related to substance abuse. If you have substance abuse, if you have mental health problems, that might be why you have substance abuse issues. And so this is better than saying, if I was just to say mental health issues typically lead to substance abuse or something. Lead to is actually a phrasal verb as well. But account for, it's got a very idiomatic sense to it. And it shows that you really know English very well because you're able to use these kinds of lesser common types of vocabulary. And so if you can experiment with these in your language, then your examiner is going to be impressed and you're going to score high bands. I would say if you're going to achieve band 8 and band 9, you need to be using these phrasal verbs because there's something examiners really do look for. And if you know them, you're really, really going to set yourself aside from someone who doesn't use them. So Munmun asks, is it necessary to use this method in writing? Now, guys, any questions, just go ahead and ask. That's what I'm here for. So is it necessary to use this method in writing? Well, yeah, because, in writing, it's also effective. I mean, yeah, you're right. I think you're implying it's maybe more effective in spoken word, but in written word as well. Good English is having a confident grasp of idioms and metaphors. And so definitely I would try to use some of these in writing as well. So does account for mean reason? Yeah, essentially that's what it means. So, if mental health issues account for substance abuse, we're saying that people, with substance abuse issues, that they might have mental health problems, and that's why they have substance abuse issues. So, yeah, you're right. That's the reason for it. So account for, it's something, you don't hear people saying in just kind of colloquial context, more informal contexts. But you can also use it in your written work as well, in formal context. That's more than fine. And it will just show off to your examiner that you understand verbs, to account. It's quite an interesting turn of phrase, bit of a different kind of thing that you might typically hear. And you've got for as well, the preposition. So you've really used two elements of grammar here. You've used a verb and you've used a preposition. You've used them well, and you've used them in a kind of metaphorical context. So really improving the quality of your grades. And if you want to achieve the high bands, you have to be using them. You have to know them. So adhere to is another really, really good one. So an example sentence, you must adhere to the typical conventions of essay writing. So adhere to essentially means follow. So you must follow the typical conventions of essay writing. You must stick to. Basically means it's a sense of like following the rules, adhering to something, adhering to what people say. It's quite a strange word, really, adhere to. Not very similar to a lot of other English words, adhere to. Don't really have words like that so much. Pronunciation of it's quite strange, adhere. But if you can use this phrase in your essay, your examiners will definitely be really impressed. It's better than just saying follow. It's better to say adhere to. And again, you've got that verb with the preposition to, showing that you understand grammar. You've got a good range of vocabulary. Also, if you can use that in your speaking exam, then show off your pronunciation. The word adhere. It's not adhere. It's adhere. And if you can use that in your speaking exam, I can barely speak myself. If you can use that in your speaking exam, then you're really gonna achieve higher bands. Come about, that's another really, really good metaphorical phrase. So the lack of women in industrial positions has come about due to their different socialization from men. So here, come about kind of means, so the lack of women in industrial positions is because of their differing socialization from men. So I could say because of, that is, a totally fine way of saying it. Or I could say come about due. And that's a little bit more metaphoric, a little bit more high level, more band 8, band 9 kind of response. If someone said come about due, I'd really be like, okay, that's quite impressive. They have used quite a very, it's a common phrase we say, but it's something you might not see written down too much, or you might just not hear too much. But in England, people use these phrasal verbs all the time. And that's what really sets you aside from fluent native speaker and someone who's, learning English as a second language, is if you understand these kind of finer elements to language, like these metaphorical expressions, these idioms, these things that really show that your experience with language, it, you've heard it, in different contexts. If someone used this phrase has come about due to their differing socialization, I would think that they have probably lived in England for a while. or, they might have just learnt the phrasal verbs, but I would probably assume that they're more fluent speaker than someone who doesn't use them. Someone asked, the stress is in the H. Yeah, so you kind of miss out the H, really. It's like a silent H, I guess you could say. So adhere to, it's kind of a soft H, adhere, not adhere, adhere. So moving on, bring up, another really common one. In the spoken mode of language, we say this all the time. If I was to say, there's some more phrasal verbs I want to bring up, there's a few topics I want to bring up, I want to bring this up with you next week, there's something I forgot to bring up with you. Did you remember to bring that up with me last week? I don't think you brought that up with me. You can conjugate it as well. You don't have to say present tense. You can say brought up if you want to be past tense as well. So, if you used past tense as well as a phrasal verb, your examiner would be really impressed. If you said during your speaking exam, if you said, I feel like I've kind of brought this up already, but just to explore it in a bit more detail, I want to just really say how much I love my hometown. I know there's a lot of things I brought up about it before, but if I was to bring up something new, using these phrases, obviously maybe don't repeat them as much as I am, but, using these phrases, a confident grasp of them, using them in different tenses as well is just particularly high level skill. If I heard somebody say brought up, or I really want to start bringing up some things, I want to bring this up with you. I wonder if we could, bring this up later. If I heard someone say this, I would just really assume that they have been speaking English for years and years, because this is what separates, native speakers from non-native, basically, people who can use phrasal verbs effectively. So, there's loads of phrasal verbs you can use. I'm not covering anywhere near all of them here. There's loads of phrasal verbs you can use. And really, phrasal verbs are what is going to put you into band 8, band 9. If you have a really confident grasp of English, you're on band 7. If you add some phrasal verbs to your work, add some idioms, then you're just really going to elevate your mark and get yourself in the higher bands. Because if you're not using phrasal verbs, you're going to limit yourself to band 7. And so I was wondering if anyone has any questions, put it in the chat, or if anyone even wants to just come and speak to me, I can add you to the call and we can just have a general chat, because I know that's quite useful for people to just chat with a native speaker. So as well as kind of improving your writing and speaking ability through, learning about things like linking words, phrasal verbs, I feel like it's good just to speak with me, because that's why we're doing it live. So if anyone wants to hop in the call, that'd be great. Talk about anything, literally anything you want. It doesn't have to be, phrasal verbs or linking words. It could be anything, just to help, speak with a native speaker, get improving your English. But yeah, definitely you need to use linking words, guys. This is probably, if you're going to revise 1 or 2 things before your exam, make sure it's linking words and phrasal verbs. If I was sitting this exam in an hour, the main thing I would do is learn lots of linking words and how to structure my argument, because that's a lot of the things that they're looking for in the exam. They're looking for how well you can put your points out on the page, how well you can communicate information. And a good way of communicating information is having a flow to your argument. Definitely use the peel technique, really effective. I don't know if you guys have a kind of equivalent of this wherever you are, but I know, they do teach us this in schools a lot here. The peel technique, give your point, give some evidence for it, explain it, and link it back to the question. The link part, the L, is definitely the most important. You need to continually make sure you're answering the question. Don't say things for no reason. Have a clear reason for why you're saying something. So everything you say in an argument, in an essay, should relate back to the question you're being asked, because otherwise, what's the point? What's the point of saying something totally random? Link it back to the question, and your examiner will notice you doing this and be like, okay, tick, they've answered the question. Under the task response section, which is how well you answer the question, basically, they'll give you a big tick. You'll be achieving high bands for it because they will see, okay, this guy's linked back to the question. He said this stuff, and okay, he's linked it back to the question, and I can give him a tick for that section. So Mum says, I have fever, otherwise I would talk. Yeah, no problem. I'm here. I'll be doing these lives very regularly throughout the week, typically around 1 p.m. to 3 p.m. UK time, so GMT +1. I know that's around maybe 6 p.m. Bangladesh time and onwards, so in the evenings. If you're fancying a chat or anything at all, feel free to join the call, because I know it's just so helpful speaking with native speakers. Guys, use the peel technique. Trust me, it might seem like something a bit stupid to learn, but it's really, really important. And it'll just, if you have a clear structure of what you're going to talk about, so if you know, okay, this is how I answer the question. I give my point, my evidence, explain, then I link. If you know this going into the exam, then you can spend your time in the exam focusing on your actual language. So focusing on, how well you use vocab, how correctly you use grammar. You don't want to be stressing out about structure and how you answer the question. You need to go into the exam with a clear mindset that you already know how to answer the question. And then you can just focus on the language you use. So Mumman says, can I get the slide, or would it be better if you share the slide or images on page to get the better view? Yeah, 100%. I can send you the slide if you would like. When this is over, I can message you on Facebook, or I can just put it, I think I might just put it in the kind of description for the video, because yeah, I think it'd be good for you to go over this. And honestly, if you're struggling on band 7, you're getting band 6.5, band 7, which is really good. If you want to get that extra step and get to band 8, band 9, make sure you're using peel. Okay, make sure you're linking back to the question. Make sure you're reinforcing your point with linking words such as furthermore, moreover, additionally. And make sure you're countering your point using linking words as well. Conversely, alternatively, phrasal verbs as well. People struggling on the borderline. People that are say you're getting 6.8 maybe. If you've got a few phrasal verbs in there and you're on the borderline, your examiner will bump you up. And Mumman says, okay, so someone says the video's blurry. So yeah, that might be causing a little bit of issues in terms of seeing the slides. So don't worry, I will put it in the description for you. But I think just being aware that these are things that you need to talk about. You can obviously research lots of different phrasal verbs, but I've tried to pick the ones that I feel will be useful for your essays. Account for, that's such a common thing that we might be talking about. I mean, if you're talking about bar charts in writing task 1, for example, you could say, it's clear that the statistics for male unemployment account for, why there's less females, in employment and stuff like that. And you want to really use vocab that's good for describing data. I mean, account for, that's really good for describing data, because writing task 1, if you're doing the academic IELTS test, it's all about describing data. So account for is a really, really good turn of phrase. Peel technique sounds amazing. Yeah, trust me, peel technique, this is something in English schools, we learn it when we're quite young. I don't know if you kind of have it abroad. We typically learn it when we're quite young, but it's something that I've used to date. I mean, I've done my undergraduate university degree, and now I'm doing my master's, my MA. All the time when I write an essay, I'm always thinking about the peel technique. Don't say things for no reason. If you're saying something in an essay, especially in the IELTS exam when you have so few words, you have, I think you have 40 minutes for writing task 2, or you should take about 40 minutes. You typically write around 250 words. So don't write things for no reason. Every little word does count. Give your point, evidence, explain, link it back to the question. If you have this structure in mind, you'll always be able to have a logical point, and you won't be saying things, for no point, for no reason. You're making sure that you're always linking back to the question. So, Shoana, hopefully I've said that right. I'm so sorry if I've butchered the pronunciation. He says, please tell me your skills on this platform. Or I think you mean, please tell me your skills for being successful on this platform. If you mean for the IELTS exam, so I'm trying to walk you guys through how you might, if you're struggling on band 6, band 7, walk you through how you might achieve the higher bands, get to band 8, band 9. And if you want to be successful in your IELTS exam, you can get away with not using phrasal verbs. You can get a band 6, a band 7, but just learn a few. You just have to learn a few. It doesn't have to be loads. Just learn how to use a few effectively. You can apply account for. You can apply that to any question. It doesn't matter, you can apply it to any question. Adhere to. You can always adapt your sentences and get these phrases in. So I would honestly argue that you don't even really need to have a huge vocabulary to do really well, in terms of having a, good range of vocabulary. You don't even need to really, have a huge vocabulary. You just need to know how to use some set phrases very effectively. So if you want to be successful, use phrasal verbs, guys. It's one of the most important things, I would say, because it's such a high band skill. It's such a metaphoric, kind of native, fluent feature of English. Someone says, could you please demonstrate this technique with a task 2 in your next live? Of course, yeah, I definitely could do that. I'm just going to quickly link you guys to another presentation I've done. And, I want to kind of show you guys how you might tackle a writing task 2 question. So I'm quickly going to try sharing my screen now with another presentation, because it will show you how you might answer writing task 2. So here's a writing task 2 question. I can do another live I could do a live tomorrow where I go over this in a little bit more detail. But just for now, I think, here's an example of a question. So with an increasing overweight population, some people think universities should make sport a compulsory module on all degree courses. So if we were to begin tackling this question, what I would do first of all, I would write down a quick little note, quick little table, something just a little bit like this. That's all you have to do. Right, pros and cons. Okay, pros and cons. So I would say reasons why we should make sport a compulsory module, and some reasons why we shouldn't. And then I just literally write down maybe three for each. Write it down really quickly. Okay, really quickly, just write some down at the start of your exam. You can scribble it out later. Just give yourself some ideas, and then you can start structuring the essay. And then once you've got that structure in mind of the stuff you're going to talk about, then you can focus on bringing in these linking words, connectives, phrasal verbs, and these higher level skills. And so, once you really just want to make sure that you're not stressing out about structure during your exam, because that should be the least of your worries. You should know already how to structure your responses in order to, game the system a bit, pick up some easy marks, if you know what I mean. So yeah, that's really, really crucial. Once you have a structure in place, then you can begin on bringing in these higher level skills, and it'll stand you in good stead. And here is actually the marking criteria. Now, I don't know if you guys can see this, but I will just walk you through it. But basically, there's task achievement. So that is how well you answer the question. I'll link you guys to these presentations so you can see them in more detail, because I know I know, there's sometimes connection problems, etc. Especially if you guys are so far away, with these live chats. But task achievement is just firmly about how well you answer the demands of the task. So if it's a question about, for example, should we make sport a compulsory module in all degree courses? Well, task response is going to be how well you have actually answered that question. So have you got some reasons why we should make sport a compulsory module? Have you got some reasons why we shouldn't? And if you can maybe have 3 reasons for supporting why we should have sport, 3 reasons for why we shouldn't have sport, then I think that will give some sense of balance to your argument. And yeah, I think that's something that you guys should all be scoring highly on, because it's not so much about your actual English task achievement, it's more about how well you've literally just answered the question. Coherence and cohesion, that is the next part that's very important. That's how well your essay flows. So obviously linking words are particularly useful for this. As I said before, we've got words like conversely, alternatively, in contrast. If I'm seeing these and I'm your examiner, that's tick, 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 band 8, band 9, okay? For coherence, because you've got a clear flow and a structure, all your points tie together nicely. So here's an example of a sentence. Conversely, a common argument is often that NHS staff are underpaid. So here I've said conversely, and that creates the sense that I'm countering what I've said previously. So it shows that I know what I've said previously and how that relates to the question. And now I'm exploring stuff in a different kind of way. And, it's really not hard to use linking phrases and to know some. And so, you're shooting yourself in the foot, as we say in English, if you're not using them. If I started this sentence off and I just said a common argument is often that NHS staff are underpaid, it would limit my potential to score higher bands, really for no reason, because it's just one simple little word, conversely. But using it and throwing a comma in and then starting your point off is just an easy way to achieve higher bands. And yeah, of course, you can do supporting arguments furthermore, additionally, moreover. So, these are quite basic. As you get more kind of fluent and more confident, you can start to experiment a bit more, substantiating this. I suggest that. Now, this is one that I use in like all my essays. I think I just thought of it one day and I was like, do you know what? This kind of works. So I'm giving it to you guys now. So you can say, in substantiation of this viewpoint, it could be argued that, and I have not thought of this off the top of my head, okay? It's something that I just know. I just know these linking phrases now. They're just ingrained into me. And now every time I do an essay, I'm ready to just put a few of them out at a time. You don't want to be using the same one over and over again. So my advice to you guys, I can't catch your speak. Please telling slowly. Yeah, I understand. I will definitely try to speak more slowly. Obviously, everyone has, quite different levels of English and understanding and stuff like this. So I understand if you want me to speak a bit more slowly for you guys. But yeah, this is quite high level skills, really, phrasal verbs and linking phrases. And particularly for your written work, you should try to include them. Obviously, just listening to me is going to improve, not only if I'm talking about writing and speaking, it's still going to improve, your listening ability because you're listening to me. And it's a good point to speak slowly, because on your listening exams, the people will be speaking quite slowly. People will be talking a bit like this and very precise and accurate. But, when you come to study here, people talk really quickly, and it's sometimes hard to kind of understand people who are speaking so quickly. I mean, especially if you're not native, if you're not fully fluent. So it's a good point. It's a good point. But yeah, I think I've covered a lot of what I wanted to cover in terms of content and information. What I'd really like from you guys, if you could kind of interact, engage, and tell me what you think about linking phrases. How well can you use them? Do you use them already? Did you already know all this stuff? Some phrasal verbs. If you could maybe tell me another phrasal verb you know. So I'm quickly going to go back to the old slide and just really talk about phrasal verbs a bit more, because like I said, these are how you're gonna get the band 8s, the band 9s. Right, I'm just going to get back to the phrasal verbs. So really just having, and there's so many phrasal verbs you can use. There's so many, but these are ones that I think would be particularly useful for, essay writing and the purposes of the IELTS exam. So Munmun says, I use linking phrases, but learn some new phrases as well. Yeah, that's great. That's great. I mean, I'm trying not to, include all the phrasal verbs ever. It's not realistic that you're going to pick loads of them up. But I think these ones I've selected are particularly flexible. By that, I mean, you can apply them to lots of different circumstances, different situations. So Mayata says, is it possible to talk to you so that I will be able to get feedback from you about the points that I have to improve? Yeah, I'd love it if you could come on to the stream if you're feeling brave. That'd be great. So I will put the invite to the chat in the description. And what you guys have to do is you just have to click it and I can add you straight to the stream. And yeah, we can have a general chat, talk about whatever you want, introductions, hobbies, the basics, or we can talk about, some really heavy issues, anything you guys want, or we can have an informal chat. I just feel like it doesn't really matter what we're talking about. I think just the experience of speaking with a native speaker is really beneficial. So guys, I'm just wondering if you can all see the link I've just put in there, because I know sometimes people have a little bit of some problems with it. But if you guys just click that link, then you'll be able to be added to the stream. So Mayata's joined the stream here. So I'm going to try add him in. Hopefully the connection's all good. And yeah, I'm just going to ask you, do you know what? I think I'm just going to ask you some basic questions about yourself. Introduction to yourself, where you're from, some hobbies, and just kind of have that dialogue. You can also talk to me about pronouns, phrasal verbs, whatever you want. So I'm going to add you to the stream, and there we go. So Mayata, am I saying that right? Yeah. Can you hear me okay?
Just wait.
Can you hear me okay there, Mayata? Can you hear me okay? All right, so basically, if your headset's not working, I think you can maybe just speak without it. Can you hear me okay? Okay, so I'm not sure if the connection's working that well, but that's not a problem. I'm going to ask you some questions about yourself, and if you can hear me, that's great. But I just wanted to kind of have a chat with you, see where you're from, find out some stuff about you. So Mayata, I don't know if you can hear me. I hope you can hear me, but it's so difficult because we're speaking to people from, it could be from Bangladesh, Ghana. There's all these different places people are from. But yeah, Mayata, give me a thumbs up if you can hear me.
Man maa war a wax ak moom léegi nii waaye man maa war a wax ak moom léegi.
Right. Okay, I'm gonna try add Mayata back to the call in a second, because connection problems, etc.
maa ngi jéem a dugg mais
And it can happen. But if anyone else wants to jump in, take over, if you can't hear me, that'd be great. We can just have, he's disconnected, unfortunately. But it happens. It happens. Hopefully you guys try come in, have a chat with me. If you're interested in literally talking about anything, I don't mind. It could be anything, because just being around native speakers really improves your level of English. I mean, I've had foreign friends before who came over to study in the UK. Their level of English at the beginning was okay, but then in the years I knew them, by the end, just from hanging out with, I don't want to say me, but hanging out with, native speakers, their level of English just seriously improved or ramped up, we could say. That's another phrasal verb, ramping up. So phrasal verbs, typically, they have the verb, so in that case, ramped, and then a preposition, so up. So Mumman says, I know some phrasal verbs, such as run out, look through, cut out, look around, call off. So yeah, you can see how, you've got adverbs like through, or prepositions like out, to, and yeah, those are really good. I mean, I don't know if, I guess run out, look through, they could come up in your essays for sure. Call off is a good one. I mean, I use that a lot. It's quite an informal way of speaking. It's very good for just speaking to people, maybe not so much your essays, but for speaking to people. If I was saying, I just have to call that off, mate, sorry, I'm too busy, I've got to call that off. Cut out is a good one. I just had to cut my ex-girlfriend out, things like this. Quite informal, and it's like they're just definitely higher band levels of ways of speaking. So Mumman says, I'm a little shy talking with you. No problem, no problem. You seem like you've got a really good grasp of English. But I understand, it's a different thing, isn't it? Talking on video to loads of people. But definitely, if you feeling a bit more confident later on in the week, definitely jump on the call. I think, once you've done it once or twice, you stop caring, and you're a bit less shy. And I think, to be honest with you, it's like, if you can come on this video call and talk in front of all these people, you're going to give yourself so much confidence for going into your speaking exam. Because, although your speaking exam is just speaking to one guy, if you've spoke in front of this audience, you can improve your confidence, and you're going to be, in your speaking exam, you'll be like, this is easy. I've literally been on camera to, loads of people. So I can do this, no problem. And, it's a bit of a learning curve, I think, sometimes, especially, I think, speaking in a language that's not your own, I think, is difficult. Like, it is really difficult. And it can make you feel a bit nervous. I mean, I know sometimes when I'm learning Spanish, it's one thing to learn it and to know it, but then to actually go and speak to, real Spanish people and use your words is another little step. But my job is to improve your guys' confidence with English. And, I would say put yourself in situations and put yourself out of your comfort zone. But I'm not calling you out specifically, Mun. I just think, when you got some confidence with it, jump on call with me and we'll have a chat. So you're saying I learned cut out from Friends. Yeah, I mean, Friends, I love Friends, honestly. I used to watch Friends so much that I literally knew every line. Like, I would watch it and I would be talking along with it as it was going on. Like, it probably was very sad and pathetic, but Friends is an amazing show. And honestly, a good way of learning English as well, because, they're speaking with an American accent as well. And on your IELTS exam, you could definitely come across American accents. You could get British accents, Australian accents, any English speaking country, you could get accents from that in your IELTS exam. So, I'm talking specifically about kind of the listening exercises where you have to listen to a speaker. And I think, if you have an understanding of a range of accents, that will really prepare you well. So I was saying before, so Friends, American show. I said before, Peaky Blinders. I think that's like a Birmingham accent in the UK. So University of Birmingham's great if you guys might be considering that. Great city, full of culture, massive, huge city. I think it's people refer to it as like the second capital. It's the second largest city to London. But yeah, everywhere in the UK has got such different accents. And if you can just kind of watch a few different shows, get an understanding of the different ways people say things, then I think it will really elevate your mark. So Miyata's joined back. We're going to give it another go, I think. I'm going to let him have a minute, I think, to sort out his mic, and then we're going to try getting a chat going. So Mun says, I have watched it for 4 times. Those are rookie numbers, my friend. I've watched every episode, I would say maybe 100 times, honestly. In the UK, Friends used to be on at 4 o'clock and 5 o'clock. And then the same episodes would play again at 8 o'clock and 9 o'clock. And I'm not going to lie, there was a few times where I came in from school, I watched the episodes at 4 and 5, and then at 8 and 9, I just rewatched the same episodes. But yeah, my favorite character in Friends, I really like Chandler. I think he's just funny. He's just funny. He's just funny. Joey's good as well. I don't like Monica that much. I think she's just not my kind of person. Phoebe's class. Who's your favorite character? Because I feel like it says a lot about you. Whoever your favorite Friends character is says something about your personality. But yeah, I think Ross, I'm not too much of a fan of Ross. I feel like Ross is pretty much just me when I'm in a really bad mood. So it's like, don't really want to say he's my favorite. So I'm going to try add Mayata back to the chat. But yeah, Mun, I was wondering, who's your favorite Friends character? And who's anyone's favorite Friends character? I mean, if you haven't seen Friends, you're going to wonder what I'm talking about. But if you haven't seen Friends, definitely go and watch it. So I'm going to try add Mayata back to the call. Hopefully your audio is working all good. And we'll just have like a general introduction chat about your hobbies, I don't know, your interests, where you're from, and all this. So I'm going to add you to the stream. Hopefully your sound is working okay. So can you hear me okay, Mayata?
Yes, I'm okay. Hi, Dan. You hear me?
Brilliant. Yeah, that's great. I can hear you good. Yeah, I don't know what happened before. I think, where are you from?
I'm from Senegal, Dakar, and then I think that before I had the issue with my mic,
No
with
problem.
my
Oh,
headset.
you were talking about Mane before. That was it, wasn't it?
Yeah, it's issue with my headsets.
Oh yeah, it's no problem. I mean, if you're in Senegal, it's like the connection might not be the best.
No,
Yeah, sorry.
it's a little bit okay because we have fiber there,
Yeah.
optical fiber.
Oh, really?
Yes,
Wow,
we have it. We do have it.
that's great. I mean, I just moved into a new flat and they don't have fiber optic. We don't worse Wi-Fi, so it's just one of them. It doesn't matter where you're from. Wi-Fi can be really bad, can't it? But yeah. So I wanted to kind of ask you some like introductory questions about yourself, because I think you've got a good level of English, so I think you'll be comfortable answering all the questions. I think for your speaking exam, your part one, it's very much just introducing yourself, getting to know people, quite basic, and I'm looking for like 1 to 2 sentence responses. I don't mean to put you on the spot and give you like a proper exam. So you can answer however you want. But yeah, I'm just gonna ask you a few questions. So like my first question is actually you can talk to me in a bit of detail. You don't have to do it like the exam structure. But I was just wondering, what were some of your favorite subjects in school, and are you looking to do IELTS so you can study at university further, or are you doing it for work purposes? Because I'm interested in like what your favorite subjects were in school and whether you're taking that further now into university, or what fields are you interested in, if you know what I mean.
Okay, I do understand. Thank you for adding me in this call.
Problem?
I just say that in the past, my favorite things or my favorite hobbies were sports like basketball because I'm tall. I'm
Yeah.
194
Oh,
centimeter. I don't know how we
you
call
can
it
just
in.
stand there and drop it in.
Yes, sure. And then sport and biology, things like biology and animals. It was
That's great.
my yes. It was my favorite hobbies in the past. And then after graduating university, I become 90%. And then I'm working in the IT field,
Great.
specifically in the delivery management.
Perfect.
Then yes, this is what I'm doing. I work in an inspection company
Mhm.
as a delivery manager.
Perfect. So
Yes.
really descriptive of your answer, went into a lot of detail, used some good grammatical phrases. And yeah, that's really interesting. So we've all got such different interests. I mean, are you doing the general IELTS exam then? Are you looking to work in the UK? Is that what you're?
Yes, I will do the general training. Yeah, IELTS. It is just for purpose of work, and then hope that I will get high score because my native language is French, and then I start learning English since high school.
Great. So in the UK, we are always very lazy with languages. Like I feel like other countries, they teach you like English and all these different languages at a very young age. And
Yes.
I feel like here we just don't do that. Like, we learn English because everyone speaks English. So we're like, okay, we don't need to learn French or Spanish. We're just too lazy. But, obviously depends where you are in the world. But yeah, that's interesting. I mean, most people I think will be doing the academic IELTS test. I think about 80% of people do that because it's so useful for university. But a lot of the kind of general IELTS content will cover as well. There are slight differences in the formats of the test. So, for example, I think with the general exam, you have to write a letter for writing task one. I don't know if have you done much exam practice of the IELTS exam before? Or?
No, not sure. I never done that before. I never did that before because I'm busy working. I'm busy at work. That's why I don't have enough time. But I'm going to YouTube and MPub to see their videos, the live videos, so that I will be able to interact with the teachers like you.
Yeah, I think just being able to speak to native speakers is one of just the massive bonuses we have of the internet, because if we didn't have the internet, you could read all the books you wanted in Senegalian libraries, but you wouldn't really have that experience of actually hearing me speak. So I think that's really good answers. You went into detail. And I think, I admire the confidence of kind of coming on camera and talking to everyone in a language that's not your own. So I think that'll stand you in good stead for your exam. So some other questions I wanted you to ask, like what do you particularly enjoy about your hometown? Like, is there any area that you just love and you would tell every tourist you have to go there because it's amazing?
Yeah, sure. Because we have here in the capital, like Dakar, we have some older. I don't know if we say volcan in French or in English or not. Some old volcan that are at the highest place that we can go here. But
yeah. Do you mean volcanoes? Yeah.
Yes, volcanoes. Yes. We have it here. And then when you go there, you can see the entire Dakar because it is the highest mountain,
That's crazy.
mountain. Yes, and then we can go there. And then we have the Gore Island that is having many historic things, like when at the time being, do you know that West Africa coast was one of the things in the past for slavery? So we have some monuments to visit. And then there is also some falls. We have falls like it is about 700 kilometers from Dakar.
Wow.
These are nice places, and we have lakes to visit also.
Yeah. So when are the volcanoes inactive now, or like when?
Sure, they are inactive.
Hopefully. Hopefully they are. Right?
Sure. Indeed, they are inactive. Yeah, sure.
Yeah, that sounds amazing though. That sounds crazy. I mean, I don't think we really have any volcanoes in the UK. I mean, definitely not active ones.
Okay.
That's crazy. So just totally different experience of the world. I've never left Europe, so I'd love to see these countries that you guys are from.
You have to. I've been in many places in Europe, in France, in Slovakia, in Spain.
Yeah.
And then I was about to come to Liverpool, but I left my previous company.
No.
Yeah. But
you need to come to watch the football.
Yes, I have to come because I asked because after I left my company, I asked my colleagues that went to Liverpool to buy a jersey for me, the Liverpool jersey. I have the 2019.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I have it with the flag of Sadio Mane behind.
Oh, that's amazing. That's
Yeah. Sure. I have it.
You need to go. The first time I went, I think I was about 8 years old. But the first time you go out and you see the pitch and you see all the players, it just gives you this crazy, like, surreal feeling. And you're like, oh my God, like all these guys you watch on TV all the time, they're right there. Crazy.
Sure. But I think that you, as England, it is on your blood.
Yeah, definitely. No, we love football. We're football crazy here.
Sure.
I mean, yeah, honestly, everyone. So, I mean, about We lost the final yesterday against
Italy.
Italy. Yeah, I don't know how I
Yes.
forgot that already. But yeah, we lost it. And honestly, you can feel like I was walking through Liverpool city centre earlier to come here to present to you guys. And the whole mood of the city is just dead. Like everyone is just so depressed. Like I so many guys with like suitcases, and they clearly come over to Liverpool to watch the game. But they were just like so sad because we just love them so much.
I can imagine that because I think that 1 hour before I joined the call, I saw a message on Twitter from Jack Grealish saying that about the penalty, because I think that some fans or some people say that he was not really prepared to shoot the penalty.
I mean, the issue was they had Saka, I think, take it, but he's about 19 years old. So why is he taking the last penalty? And then you've got all these 26-year-old guys, and they're like, "Nah, I don't want to take one." So
that's why I said earlier that it was an issue from I think from Southgate, because they are not experienced for penalty, and then they are not. And then he doesn't bring them before earlier the game to be hot, to be warm. So sure.
I know. I've been so anti-Southgate the whole tournament because he's so boring to watch. It's like when you watch Liverpool play, you watch Mane and Salah just cutting through, making these runs, bending shots, and we just haven't really had that from the England team. But and every time I was telling my friends, like, Southgate, what's he doing? He's so boring. But then we just kept winning games. And so I just couldn't say anything because we kept winning.
Sure.
But yeah, wait, so how are Senegal are obviously, they're in the African Cup of Nations, aren't they?
We lost, I think, 2 years ago or 1 year ago. I think we lost the final because it was Senegal against Algeria. Then they won 1-0. But unfortunately we never win the African Cup, unfortunately. But we hope that in the coming years we'll succeed.
You got to try win it before Mane retires. You got to give it.
Yes, sure. He deserves it.
Yeah, is he the reason you support Liverpool then, or do you support them anyway?
Yeah. I like England people because they are free, they are open-minded. It's not because you are there, that's why. But they are crazy.
Horrible, would you?
They are crazy.
Well, Liverpool's just known for being a very like friendly, hospitable city. Like if you go down south in the country, I mean, I don't want to offend anybody, but if you go down south, people are a bit less friendly. People don't talk to you as much. But then in the north of the UK, so like in the north of England, I mean, so in like Liverpool, Manchester, people are a lot more open, a lot more friendly. It's just my observation. It might be totally not true, but I am biased as well, obviously. So it's just one of those.
Okay.
But yeah, good chat. I think I didn't really end up asking you many exam-related questions because it's not that fun, is it? It's not that fun. But next time we can ask more kind of exam-related questions. But then again, you know, your speaking exam, it is going to be quite informal. Like there's going to be a rough little structure to it. But it's going to flow like a conversation. I mean, you know, you're not going to get asked about food and then the next question is going to be about, you know, social media. It'll all flow together, and you know, I think you'll be good for it. When are you going to sit your IELTS exam? Because
I didn't take any appointment yet.
Oh yeah, no worries.
But definitely, I will do it maybe on August. During August,
I think you can do it whenever you want, pretty much, because
sure.
You know, there's multiple testing centers, you know, throughout the month. So yeah, did you have you had much experience kind of writing in English? Like for writing task 2, you have to write a full essay and all this. Have you had much experience of, writing
Mm,
academically and
Yes, I do because my boss is Spanish. He's from
oh
Spain,
right.
and then we used to exchange in English.
Yeah, that's cool.
Yeah,
That's cool. So I
yeah,
think, yeah, it's like with the writing task 2, you're gonna have to write really academically. So, make sure you try use some of these phrasal verbs I talked about today, because
okay.
that's like I can tell, I can tell you've learned English for years and years, because you come across confident, fluent. So there's no reason why you shouldn't score really highly. Like you should, in your writing, your speaking, you should be aiming for band 8 plus, honestly. And just the way to do that, like, is just to learn a couple of little techniques, like use some of the phrasal verbs like that I've gone through in this video.
Okay.
Use the peel technique, because your level of English is really good. But the way of
Okay.
improving your mark would be to just learn the format of the exam, like learn what they're looking for. So because you obviously can use phrasal verbs, so just make sure you do and you learn a few. But yeah, really, you should be good for it. I mean, a lot of Gulam says laughter is medicine for students. 100% agree. Gulam, you seem like such a positive, good vibe kind of guy. I always see you on the videos. But yeah, I think, yeah, Mayata, there's really no reason why you shouldn't achieve highly. It's just, for me, the IELTS exam is about learning the format, learning how you answer the questions, because you've got good enough English to easily score really highly. You could, if you put work in, you could achieve a band 9, no problem. It's just about, learning the format of how to answer the questions.
Okay.
So, guys, I'm probably going to leave this here. But I had some good chats. Hopefully, you learned some stuff about phrasal verbs, linking words. Cheers for the chat, Mayata.
Thank you.
Whenever you want to join in again, feel free. Doesn't matter that you've already done it. Just whenever you want to come and chat, that's
Okay.
good.
Thank you very much. Catch you later.
Yeah, no worries, mate. No worries. So, I'm gonna end the broadcast here, guys. If you got any more questions, just let me know. That's what I'm here for. If you want to ask anything, just ask me. And yeah, Mayata, cheers for talking, and I'll see you guys all in a little
Cheers.
bit.
Bye.
I'll be doing another live stream tomorrow at 2 p.m. So be sure to join, and I'll see you guys shortly in a bit.